Hello. Today we are going to discuss consumer behavior and utility analysis. So today's topic is consumer behavior and utility analysis. So first we have to know who are the consumer. Consumers are those group of people who belong to the household sector and their activity is to consume the commodity. So consumers are those people who consume the commodity and satisfy their needs. Now what is utility? Now utility means the quality of a product or a service to satisfy human wants. So utility means satisfying human wants. So now consumer behavior means how the consumer will behave. That means suppose there is change in price of the commodity or there may be change in the income of the consumer. Now the question is, when there is change in price of a commodity or income of the consumer, then how the consumer will behave. That is our topic, consumer behavior. And consumers' main objective is to maximize their utility. Consumer wants to maximize their utility. So utility maximization is the main objective of consumer. Now as we know that human beings have lots of wants. Wants are unlimited. But our resources, that means income, are limited. So how the consumer will maximize their utility within these limited resources. That is the biggest problem. So there are mainly two approaches. Okay. So the two approaches are cardinal approach and ordinal approach. Now cardinal approach. Cardinal approach is explained by Professor Marshall. Now according to cardinal approach, utility can be measured in terms of units. That means we can measure utility in terms of units. But in real life or in actually, we cannot measure utility in terms of units. Suppose I am very thirsty, so I am having a glass of water. Now how much utility I am getting from this glass of water cannot be measured in terms of units. It's a satisfaction, it is a mental satisfaction. So actually utility cannot be measured in terms of units. So in ordinal approach, some economists like Hicks, Allen and Pareto, Hicks, Allen and Pareto criticized the cardinal approach and then they explained ordinal approach to maximize the utility. Now today we will discuss how with the help of ordinal approach the consumer can reach a equilibrium. So first we have to know what is consumer equilibrium. Consumer equilibrium. Consumer equilibrium. Equilibrium means a position or a situation where consumer's utility will be maximum. So consumer has to reach a situation or position where his or her utility will be maximum within his budget or within his resources. So first we have to know the indifference curve, the concept of indifference curve. So let me first explain what is indifference curve. In ordinal approach, with the help of indifference curve, we can show how the consumer will reach the equilibrium. So first we have to know what is indifference curve, and indifference curve is written as IC. So first let me give an example. Suppose it's a two commodity world. Two commodity world means we are having only two commodities X and Y. Now we can have different combinations of the two goods. We can suppose we are having 2 units of good X and 10 units of good Y. So this is a combination of two commodities, and suppose the utility derived from these two commodities is denoted by U naught. So U naught means the level of utility which we can derive from the combination of 2 units of X and 10 units of Y. Next we can have another combination of two goods. Suppose 3 units of X and 7 units of Y. Again we are having the same level of utility, because in this combination we are having more of X and lesser of Y. So the total utility derived from this combination is same as this combination. We can take another combination. So these are the three different combination of two commodities from which we can get the same level of utility. Now by plotting these combinations, we can get the indifference curve. Along the x-axis, we are measuring the consumption of X. Along y-axis, we are measuring the consumption of Y. Now, this is one combination, 2 units of X, 10 units of Y, 7 unit of X, 7 unit of Y, 3 unit of X. So A, B, C are different combinations of X and Y which will give us same level of utility. So by joining these 3 points, we get the curve which is known as indifference curve. So what is indifference curve? Now let me define the indifference curve. Indifference curve shows different combinations of X and Y which will give same level of satisfaction or utility. Same level of satisfaction or utility. So indifference curve shows different combinations of X and Y which will give same level of satisfaction or utility to the consumer. If the consumer is at A or at B or at C, his or her utility level will remain the same. Now, let me discuss the properties of indifference curve. Properties of indifference curve. Properties. First, indifference curve is downward sloping. Indifference curve is downward sloping. Now, indifference curve downward sloping means as we are increasing the consumption of X, the consumption of Y must be reduced so that the consumer can stay on the same level of satisfaction. So when we are increasing the consumption of one commodity, we have to decrease the consumption of other commodity so that the utility level remains the same. That is why IC or indifference curve is downward sloping. Next property is indifference curve is convex, convex to the origin. Indifference curve will be convex to the origin. Now third property is two indifference curves will never intersect or touch each other. Two indifference curves will be never intersect or touch each other. And the fourth property is higher indifference curve represents higher level of utility. Higher indifference curve represents higher level of utility. So these are the four properties of indifference curve. Now we can have a indifference map. A set of indifference curve is known as indifference map. This is indifference map. A set of indifference curve. There in this map we are having three indifference curves: IC0, IC1, IC2. Now A and B combinations are lying on IC0. That means utility level at A and utility level at B same, because they are lying on the same indifference curve. Now come to point C, or combination represented by the point C. Now since C is lying on higher indifference curve, the utility level at C will be more than utility at A or at B. Again at D the utility level is higher as D is lying on higher indifference curve. So this is indifference map, and an indifference map will show the test and preference pattern of a consumer. Now given this indifference map, a consumer will want to move higher and higher indifference curve, because as he or she is moving to higher indifference curve, his utility level is also increasing. But there is a constraint or restriction, because we cannot purchase the commodities unlimited, because we have some constraint. We have our budget constraint, because our income level is given and the prices of the commodities are also fixed in the market, which are not in our hand. We have to accept the price of the commodities which are already fixed in the market, and the income which we are earning is also given, that is fixed. So now with this given budget or given income, we have to maximize our utility. So now what is the problem of a consumer? The problem of a consumer is to maximize utility but within the budget constraint. Budget constraint. Budget constraint, or technically it is termed as budget line or budget line. Now what is budget line? Budget line is constructed on the basis of our money income which we receive and the prices of the two commodities. Now let me explain how we can construct a budget line with our given income and prices of two commodities. Suppose money income is 100 rupees. Price of X is 10 rupees per unit and price of Y is 20 rupees per unit. Okay. Money income is 100, price of X 10, price of Y is 20. Now we have to find out what are the combinations of X and Y which a consumer can afford to purchase with this given money income and prices of two commodities. Suppose the consumer purchases only X and the purchase of Y is 0. Now, if a consumer purchases only X, then he can purchase 10 units of X with 100 rupees money income. So, this is a combination which a consumer can afford to purchase with this given money income and prices of two commodities. Another combination is, suppose the purchases of or the consumer purchases 0 unit of X and how much units of Y he can purchase with 100 rupees income, that is 5. So this is another combination. Now suppose consumer purchases 4 units of X, then his expenditure on X will be 40 rupees. How much is left? 60 rupees. Now with this 60 rupees, the consumer can purchase 3 units of Y. So this is another combination. So these three are different combinations of X and Y which a consumer can purchase with his given income and prices of two commodities. It's just a numerical example. Now if we plot this, this is A, 10 units of X is consumed and 0 Y. This is B, where 0 unit of X is consumed and 5 units of Y is consumed. By joining A and B, we get a line which is known as budget line. So here AB is the budget line, and any combinations lying on this budget line AB are affordable to the consumer. Affordable to the consumer means consumer can purchase any combinations which are lying on this budget line with his given income and prices of two commodities. Now the equation of the budget line can be written as the equation of the budget line is M is equal to Px into X plus Py into Y. This is the equation of the budget line. It is the equation of a straight line. M means the income, Px into X means the expenditure on X, Py into Y means the expenditure on Y. So the right hand side of this equation represents the expenditure on two commodities and the left hand side represents the income. So in this equation, the income must be equal to the expenditure. This is the equation of budget line, and the slope of the budget line is minus Px by Py, budget line. This angle shows the slope of the budget line. This is the ratio of the prices of two commodities. Minus Px, why minus? Because budget line is downward sloping and Px is the price of x, Py is the price of y. So this is the slope of the budget line. Now any combination lying outside the budget line are not affordable to the consumer. Consumer cannot afford any combination, say D, which is lying outside the budget line, because at D expenditure will be greater than income. That means Px into x plus Py into y will be greater than income at D. So D combination is not affordable by the consumer. Again, suppose we are taking another point F which is lying inside the budget line or below the budget line. Now, any point which is lying below the budget line, income will be greater than expenditure. That means at F, the consumer can save a part of his income. But in this analysis, Hicks, Allen and Pareto assume that there is no savings. That means the entire income is spent to purchase the two commodities. So this F point is not feasible. So now we can conclude that any combination which are lying on the budget line is a feasible point. D is not affordable and F is also not feasible because there is something left in the hand of the consumer, and by the assumption of this analysis, the consumer will not save anything, the entire income will be spent. So the consumer equilibrium will lie on the budget line only. Now let us explain how the consumer can reach a equilibrium. Suppose a set of indifference curves are given to a consumer and the IC0, IC1 and IC2 are different indifference curves. IC0, IC1, IC2, and as the consumer moves higher and higher indifference curve, the utility will increase. Now suppose AB is the budget line. AB is a budget line which is downward sloping, and this budget line AB is constructed on the basis of given income and prices of two commodities. Now, as we can observe from this diagram, the combinations represented by E, F and G all are lying on the budget line AB. F, E and G. These three are all lying on the same budget line. That means E or F or G are affordable to the consumer. Now the question is, which point or which combination will maximize the utility of the consumer? Now look at these 2 points, F and G. F and G are lying on lower indifference curve IC0, whereas E is lying on higher indifference curve IC1. That means compared to F and G, the utility level at E will be the higher utility. So E will be the equilibrium point. So E is the equilibrium point where consumer's utility will be maximum given the level of income and the prices of the two commodities. And how much units of X and Y will be consumed by the consumer? OX star units of X and OY star units of Y will be consumed by the consumer. Hence the optimal combination can be written as OX star, OY star. OX star and OY star is the optimal amount of X and Y which will maximize the utility of the consumer. Thus, we can conclude that when income is given and prices of two commodities are also fixed in the market, then consumer can maximize the utility by consuming OX star amount of X and OY star amount